the Arab region has suffered in dual way because of the pandemic, corona pandemic, and of course because of the drop of the oil price. Some Arab countries, and of course the oil exporting countries, had some saving on the several sovereign funds, but others not. And of course, the region is harmed like any other country worldwide about the situation. To have a small survey about the current situations and measures has been taken, and what are the strategies of possible cooperation between the Arab countries and Europe. Here with us, we are very honored to have His Excellency Dr. Khaled Hanafi, the Secretary General of the Union of Arab Chambers, former Egyptian minister. Let me ask you, Excellency, for your words.
Thank you very much. Welcome to everybody here today, and good afternoon. I really appreciate this opportunity that gathers the expertise from different areas and from different regions to tackle one of the important or the most important current issues right now. I won't talk about the past. I need to talk about the future more than talking about the past. So, as you mentioned here, we have two things that we have to highlight, which is the global situation right now and the measures that the Arab countries are taking regarding this problem, which is the problem, the economic pandemic, not only the corona pandemic, because now everybody in this globe is suffering a lot from economic problems aside from the corona itself as a virus. What I see is that today we are lucky in one thing, because I feel that the supply chain needs to be restored, while the supply side of all economies is could be restarted perfectly, because the damage that came mainly was focused economically on the demand side of the economy. So when we talk about the global problem, the global economic problem, and the business problem, we can recognize that there is a great problem based on what happened to the demand and the aggregate demand. So the demand for goods and services everywhere, and the aggregate demand in many economies that led to recession and led to unemployment. So the solution for what we're facing now globally is to reactivate and to restore the aggregate demand more than doing anything else. And this activation of aggregate demand needs more openness, needs more coordination, as my colleague, the president of the Euro Chamber, mentioned here, that it's the time for talk, not to talk, to walk the talk, and to be able to activate all what we are talking about, not just witnessing the problems. So I believe that the first thing is that we have to go for more openness, and we have to work, whether in Europe, whether in the Arab countries, wherever we are, to encourage the trend towards more openness in everything, because this is the medicine for the problem that we are facing regarding the demand side. Number two, also the supply chain. The supply chain needs to be also fixed globally. So fixing the supply chain needs to have more effort towards the logistics part of the world, needs to have some more links regarding the ports, regarding the transportation systems, in order to be able to have more flow of goods from both sides. When it comes to the Arab countries, yes, the Arab countries they went through some measures to deal with the problems. For example, many of the Arab countries started now to do some fiscal policy changes. For example, they gave some tax holidays in some countries to make the companies able to face temporary, of course, tax holidays to make the companies able to deal with the problem. Sometimes they did some stimulus packages, huge stimulus packages, in order for the small and medium enterprises to be able to restart or even to have newcomers in the market and to employ. They went in the monetary side in some relaxation in the loans payment. So regarding the debts that the company or companies face, they started to give some break for the payments of the credit to even for the consumer's credit, not only the company's credit. What I'm saying here is something that helps a lot regarding the activation of the demand, the aggregate demand here, because at the end of the day, there is a problem for the buying power, whether we are talking about the buying power for the domestic products or the imported products. So here, some of the Arab countries, they started this aggressively. So even they made this a priority in their government decisions, and they postponed other issues to stimulate the demand. Of course, when we talk about the Arab countries, we cannot generalize because the 22 countries are not similar. They are not at the same pace of development or welfare. But the important economies that they have the financial resources or they have the production capacity, they started to work. For example, if we talk about a country like Egypt, we still enjoy a sort of positive growth rate, which is around 3%, which is something recognized that during this phase and during this period, there is a growth. But the idea here is to encourage the demand more and more. Today, the governments in different places in the Arab countries are trying hard to make the balance between dealing with the corona problem and the openness. But I believe that there is a sort of an agreement that openness is very important to deal with the rest of the world. So I ask the other side, which is the European side, that we need to work on the same, and we have to be on the same wave, that the business people, we do as the Union of Arab Chambers that represent the private sector in the Arab countries, and our unions of chambers in each of the 22 Arab countries, the business sector in the Arab country is pushing very hard the government to go for more openness, is pushing very hard the governments is to ease the supply, is to make things move, is to work for stimulating the economy. We need the business sector, the private sector in the European side to do the same, is to work hard with the governments, to encourage governments to do the same, to go more further steps for openness. The only way to solve or to be able to overcome our problem is to have the courage to open and to work and to restore the economy. The problems that we face from the economic problems is by far greater than the problem that we are facing from the serious corona problem. We need more openness, we need more involvement, we need to start our business as usual or even more than usual. Again, the idea is not just trade, as we usually say. We need to have strategic alliances, more and more strategic alliances. We talked about this many times, that the idea is not to ship products from one side to the other side. but the idea is to have common business, to be located everywhere, to face any problem, not just the current problem, but any potential problem in the future. Yes, governments in the Arab countries started to work. The private sector that we represent in each of the Arab countries is pushing hard towards more business, more openness, and you are going to hear in the near future announcements from governments in the Arab countries showing that we are open and we are going to return to our normal business and normal demand. But we cannot play it from one side. We need to play together. We need to cooperate. We need to coordinate. We need you, private sector in the European countries, to do the same and to push on more business to return as usual. Thank you.